Due to the rain, we will have a slight delay in the start of our show so that you don't have to come walking over in the rain. So don't worry if you're not in the ring at this time. We will have a slight delay until the rain lets up a little bit. It does appear that we're going to have a little break in the rain, so if you are in beginning showmanship, please head over to the Progress Arena immediately. What we're going to do then is we're going to try and show mainly on the south end of the ring, and we are going to use the north end of the ring as a makeup area where you can come on over and kind of stand and get out of the rain so you don't have to stay outside. Beginning showmanship to the Progress Arena immediately. Our beginning showmanship is now in progress in the Progress Arena. If you are a first-year showman, grades 5 and up, head over to the Progress Arena. You can wait on the north end. Judge Vagley has made her first poll in our first year showmanship, in our beginning showmanship. First year showman should be on deck. Again, first year showman should be at ringside.
Well, good morning, everyone, and we're back here for round 2 with Showmanship, and we got these the youngest group out here this morning. And I know sometimes I use a choice of words, but I am not going to apologize this morning for taking my time, especially with this young group of kids. I tried to give them actually a couple corrections as they came in. I wanted to see how they kind of went on the fly with adjusting. And this group is such a good group of listeners. I commend all of these kids down the line. But as we get here placing, this young man that wins the class came in this class and just spot on for me. He has beautiful head carriage with his calf. Every time I asked them to stop, he had his heifer set up correctly. And when I went on the outside, when I went around, he knew how to switch those feet so that when I was on the gate side, his heifer was set up correctly. He did do one thing that I caught him, and I told him this, that would give him just a little bit of a nick. I said last night in our Q&A, never as a leadsman do you use your feet to place the heifer's rear feet. You can use them on the front feet gently, but never on the rear feet. And I could see him out of the corner of my eye. He went to do it, and I think he's like, uh-oh, and he came back. But I did catch him. I'm a mom. I got eyes in the back of my head sometimes. So no, but all in all, he did a great job. He has the advantage over this young lady in second because the whole class, he had his hands correctly in the halter. This young lady does a great job. When she came in, she actually had her hands switched in the halter, but about a third away around the ring, I turned and looked, and she was correcting herself, and I commend her for that. She knew she was doing something wrong, and she corrected it, and it totally helped her present her heifer the rest of the class. Just a little bit more attentive with the head carriage on her Jersey heifer over our young man here in third, who is so collected with his heifer. There's this pair here is a really fun pair to watch, and I told him as he came in, he's doing a great job right now with the head carriage on this heifer of presenting this animal. As the class got on, he got a little tired, maybe a little distracted. The heifer's head came down, completely changes the way the heifer looks, and takes the balance off her rear end, and she was starting to shift her feet, so he had to work harder. So we talked that a little bit. But he's just a little more attentive to me than this young man coming out in fourth. Young man in fourth, again, does a great job with his heifer. That heifer goes with a nice, even flow here. He knows how to set the heifer up. Couple times, just lost attention to me. When I wanted to pull him in, I kind of had to wait for him to look for me. So when you're kind of seeing I'm starting to pull, you kind of want to give your attention to the judge so you don't miss your pull. When you get into the bigger shows and the bigger classes, you don't want to miss that judge's look because sometimes the judge won't give you that second look. And that's not fair to you for all your efforts. So it's the balancing act of the heifer and the judge. But does a great job, knew how to set his animal up, again, when I went around, and that was a key thing in this class. Young lady coming out next, another great team effort with her heifer, just as we didn't quite set up quickly compared to the ones in front of her. But she does a great job with that. We worked on how she handles the halter with her left hand, just a little easier for her and to not irritate the heifer, and she's doing that now, and the heifer's already handling her head much better. And as we go down here, we had a couple animals that just didn't want to work well. The showmen know what they're doing. The heifers did not want to help them today. Just kind of didn't want to lead quite as nice, or just got a little frumpy in line. So I talked and gave all the kids that are coming here in front of me pointers of what they can do to achieve a higher ribbon placing. And it's not crucial things. It's just some of the little details. And they all took that in, I think, in stride, and they're going to be a tough bunch at the next show. Congratulations, and give them a big round of applause.
Now in the ring, we will have our first-year showman, grades 5 and up. Please have our junior showman headed over to the Progress Arena. You will be able to wait on the north end. Giving the results of our beginning showmanship class, there were 12 individuals showing in that class. Winning the class and receiving a trophy and also a sweatshirt from Compeer Financial was Duke Schlender. Second, Caitlin Friesen. Third, Colton Weiss. Fourth, Chanel Bruins. Fifth, Mackenzie Recker. And sixth, Mason Goodix. Seventh, and receiving a red was Leah Smith. Eighth, Eleanor Noss. Ninth, Brooke Sauer. 10th, Greta Altrider. 11th, Bentley Gens. And 12th, Evelyn Chambers. Let's put our hands together and congratulate those beginning showmen. Just a reminder, if those first two individuals, first and second from that beginner class, will need to be keeping an eye on things because you will come back in for our Supreme Showman at the end of the day. Individuals in this class are in grades 5 and older, but it is their very first time showing dairy. So it is called first year showmanship. Again, we'd like to welcome our judge back today, Tammy Vagley from Arlington, Wisconsin, Vogren Swiss. Tammy is a well-known brown Swiss breeder. She, along with her family, also board numerous animals getting ready for shows and what have you of many different breeds. She's quite an accomplished judge, having judged at state and national shows in 9 states. She's, as you can see, the last couple days, she's been working very well with the kids. She has her heart and soul into this. She's always been one that's worked very hard with nieces and nephews and other junior exhibitors. And now as she starts the 23 season, we'll have a son that'll be 4-H, in 4-H, so we can call her Tammy the 4-H mom. But we've been very, very fortunate to have Tammy and see what a great job she has done with working with the kids and teaching them for future shows. So welcome back, Tammy, and let's give her a round of applause and welcome her back to the ring. If you missed breakfast this morning, we have donut holes and milk over in the northeast corner of the show arena. Please go and help yourself. That's available for spectators, families, exhibitors, whoever would like some donuts and milk. sponsored by the Watertown Area Agribusiness and Dodge County Dairy Promotions. So please help yourself to milk and donut holes. Our junior division of showmanship should be at ringside, ready to come in the ring. Junior showman should be at ringside.
Well, let's give our first-year showman a really nice round of applause. Again, the fundamentals of showmanship are here. They just need time in the ring. They just need experience, and that'll come. I hope they continue with their projects, because with a little time, a little bit more experience in different circumstances, they're all going to be right there battling for that top blue ribbon. But this young lady that comes out with our Jersey calf, just an excellent showman, never lets anything really distract her. That calf and her are step in step when they're moving around the ring. And the only thing I told her is sometimes she gets, if that heifer's head drops a little bit, she wants to naturally roach. Then the leadsman has to worry about pinching her down, taking her attention away from everything else, the judge and the heifer. As she parades all right there, at his perfect head carriage. That heifer doesn't really need to be touched down, and she can focus on what she needs to do up at the top. It's less things she has to worry about, and she doesn't have to worry about overshowing. But she did a great job at setting up, keeping that heifer presented at all times, especially in line, and that was the advantage over this young lady coming out with our Normandy. The heifer works well again with this young lady. Just when we got in line, sometimes rear feet got square. She was focusing maybe on me and didn't correct the heifer, but she does a great job again controlling that heifer on the outside. When I walked around, she switched the feet, which I like to see. Just a little more when we get into line to always make sure that her heifer looks her best when standing in line. The young man in third, I played a little mind game on him. Our first pull, his heifer came in, being a little bit of an unruly Jersey, as they can be, and I wanted to see what he would do, and I pulled him into what he thought was probably the last hole. I wasn't going to keep him there, but I wanted to see how he would perform down here at the end, and he did everything I had hoped he would do. The heifer got in line, behaved, he picked the head up, placed the feet right, and found me. Exactly what he needed to do. So that's why he got bumped up when the heifer cooperates with him just a little bit quicker on keeping that head carriage where it needs to be, where them feet need to be to present that heifer at all times looking her best. And we did a little swapping here in places. The next couple coming down, this young lady with the Holstein, again, just when she came in, maybe too relaxed at the beginning, came in, the adrenaline maybe got going a little bit more, and she was a little bit more attentive to where I was, keeping her heifer looking the best at all times, and that's what showmanship is. You want your heifer to look the best at all times without drawing attention to you. But her heifer just cooperated a little bit nicer with this young lady with the Normandy spring calf. When the calf leads and she can be in line, this girl is top notch. She would have been right there at the top. Unfortunately, the heifer doesn't want to move out in the class for her, and it does take away, unfortunately, distracting from what a great showman she is. I told her, I said, please keep up with it. The fundamentals are there, because when she's not struggling with the heifer, she's doing everything right. But she just has the feet placed a little bit nicer when she would get her in line and when I'd stop. Then this young man coming out here with the Holstein heifer. Just again, when I told him, when I walk in front, even if your heifer's not placed perfectly as you want, if I'm walking in front and I'm in front of you, stop. Turn and look at me to acknowledge me, because I might give you a question. I might ask you a question. I might give you an instruction. If you're not focused on me at that moment, you're going to miss your cue or miss maybe a placing or whatever. And when I walk past you, go back to finish placing your heifer or pinching her down, whatever you feel you need to do. And so the second time around, he did do that. So that's something he can work on that'll bump him up quite a bit. And then our last two that are coming down here, just a showman that just need a little bit more attentives up at the halter. This young lady's heifer sets up really nice for her. We talked a little bit about how to hold with her hands in the halter, what she can do with her free hand, and to watch me. And this young man, the poor heifer, would like to walk on his feet more than he would probably like her to. But we need just a little focus on setting up his heifer, but he does a great job controlling her when she wants to try to push him around. So again, it's great to see such a big class of first-year showmen, and I hope they all come back. Congratulations.
Now entering the ring is our Junior Showmanship contestants. Intermediate contestants should be on deck, and again, you can wait on the north end of our Progress Arena. In our first year showmanship, receiving a trophy and also a sweatshirt from Compeer Financial was Savannah Fairbank. Second, receiving a blue, Michaela Conley. Third, in receiving a blue, Owen Sigmund. Fourth, in receiving a blue, Ava Gustorf. Fifth, in receiving a blue, Megan Bingen. Sixth, in receiving a red was Keegan Schroffnagel. Seventh, in receiving a red was Rose Lake. Eighth, in receiving a red was Jacob Anzett. Again, now in the ring are our junior showmanship grades 5 and 6.
Well, let's give our junior showman a big round of applause. With the quality of these junior showmen, I'm kind of getting scared what them seniors are going to throw at me here. But as we let these youngsters lead out here, these top three, really, really close. And I did another circle to try to see if I could find any more splitting hairs here. But this young man that wins the class, from the time he walked in, he's another team player with this heifer. When they walk out together, they move out fluidly as a team. He knows exactly when he anticipates when he wants to set her up. He knows how to, she gets a little roachy. He knows when to pinch her down across that top and how to. And I mean, that's one thing too, on some of these younger kids, I've mentioned to them one-on-one. When you go to pinch down a heifer, you don't have to pinch. You see some of these poor calves, they like scrouch down and it makes it worse. And you got to work with that before you get into the class so that they are accustomed to that feel back there. And all you got to do is you'll train them, just lightly tap them. And the Jersey heifer that was in here in that last class, I barely touched her top and she already straightened out. That heifer's been trained to do that. And I mean, I'm pretty sure this heifer has a little bit of roachiness every day of her life. So, and you can see when he pinches down her, he just lightly does it so she doesn't get into an ugly look, is what I guess I'm trying to say. So that's something you don't have to overemphasize pinching them down on the top because that can give you the look you really don't want to give. But again, as he moves out, just so fluidly having that heifer set up over the next two young ladies. I did a switch here at the end because when we were in the line the first time, I had them the other way. Both do an exceptional job. It's very close. My young lady in third, her heifer's rear legs just got a little too far behind her. She lost track of that just a little bit, where our young lady in second, that heifer was always placed in, stood in line really nice. And then as we moved out, just flowed just a tick nicer on that final drive out there. And she handled, we have a rough corner over here on behavioral for the heifers, and she handled that situation very respectably, and that was just the notch that got her up into that second hole. Third over fourth, our young man with our Jersey cow, he does another nice job. Just when we get into line, we talked about staying level as far as our leadsmen to make our straight line. And again, another cow that just sometimes wanted to get squared up in the back, and he lost track of that just a little bit. But when he's out on the move, they move out so effortlessly, and you can tell there's a lot of time on the halter with that cow. Our next two young ladies with the two big yearlings, again, it's splitting hairs, came down to my lady here in fourth, or my gal in fourth. She just set up, and when I walked around, had them legs switched for me just a little bit quicker and more correctly. Then our next young lady coming out, heifer just didn't want to quite cooperate quite as nice, but that was about the only thing that got her. I love how she has the carriage just a bit nicer on that heifer, and that was a tiebreaker there. And as we go down to our group of, I'll call them the kids, I gave them the rest of the groups here reds. I don't think there is any whites deserved in this class. We talked about things that we can work on. Again, it was a couple calves didn't want to lead out for Showman. They know what to do. Their heifers just didn't want to work with them. And you need to be able to have animals that lead in the class so that you can keep your class flowing and give yourself the room to be able to show off your showmanship skills. And we talked about how to hold the halter on a couple of them and things like that. Again, another great group of kids to work with, very responsive to my corrections, and I wish them the best of luck in their next showmanship event. Congratulations.
In our Junior Showmanship Contest with grades 5 through 6, winning the class, receiving a trophy and sweatshirt from from Compeer Financial is Malcolm Spoke. Second blue in the class was Vivian Lichty. Third, receiving a blue was Jackie Paulson. Fourth and receiving a blue was Travis Friesen. Fifth and receiving a blue was Kendra Keenis. Sixth and receiving a blue was Emma Crave. Seventh and receiving a red was Paige Conley. Eighth and receiving a red was Allison Zwald. Ninth and receiving a red was Blake Bruins. 10th and receiving a red was Aubrey Altrider. 11th and receiving a red was Mackenzie Goodix. 12th and receiving a red was Jameson Noss. 13th and receiving a red was Preston Skaliski. 14th and receiving a red was Caden Schmidt. Congratulations. Now in the ring we have our intermediate showman, grades 7 through 9. Our senior showman, grades 10 and over, should be on deck. Also a reminder, if you finished first or second in one of the showmanship classes today, you will be able to compete for Supreme Showman at the end of our showmanship contest. Just some reminders. We will, if you have filled out one of your activity cards, we ask all of you exhibitors to come to the Progress Arena immediately following the show, where we will be naming those individuals that will be participating in Sunday's auction. Again, reminder, we will have a lottery winner, so you need to be present to find out. So if you completed your activity card, you need to report to the ring immediately following our showmanship classes today. Following our Supreme Champion Showman, we will have our Junior Showmanship Contest, grades 3 and 4. That will be immediately following our Supreme Showmanship Contest. We touched a little bit on the auction. When the auction will be taking place on Sunday at 11:30 here in the Progress Arena. And there will be 16 lots from the winners throughout yesterday and today that will be qualifying for the auction. We ask that your family and friends come and participate in the auction. The money will be divided amongst those individuals that won their particular lot in the auction, as well as it helps funds our dairy activities throughout the year, as well as our scholarships. So please join us Sunday in the Progress Arena for our auction. Also, the top 4 individuals from both our intermediate showman and our senior showmanship will have the chance to show in master showmanship, which is they will be paired on a team with members of the swine, beef, and sheep project. And they will get to learn and work with one another to learn how to show the other species. And we will have our Master Showmanship Contest on Saturday night at 7 o'clock. So again, the top 4 individuals in our intermediate and senior will be able to participate in our Master Showmanship Contest with our livestock kids. It's a great opportunity for the kids to work together, learn each other's skills, and see who has mastered those to be the chance at winning the title of Master Showman.
Well, let's give our intermediate showman a nice round of applause. A super big class. Again, it's great to see the older kids keep coming back. That was one trend I've seen at some shows. You got 20 young kids, you got 2 seniors or 2 intermediates. So it's really great to see that these kids out here, hopefully some of our juniors have been watching, because these are great role models, great mentors. And if you have younger ones in your club, please help them out here, because you guys all have the great fundamentals down. Did a little something different with this group. The last 2 I've worked my top group with a little extra circle, giving them some unruly ones a second chance, seeing how some kids are going to handle that. But I was actually watching my non-top group, my second half down here, more than I was watching these guys, this class, because there's a lot of good kids down here. Their heifers were beating the crap out of them or not cooperating with them again. And I wanted to give them an opportunity, because last night I told them, never give up till you walk out of the ring. And at the end here, I moved up 2 individuals that, as I was down here, eyes in the back of my head was watching down here, never gave up showing the whole time. The young man, I want to make a point with the brown Swiss heifer. I'd like to take her home and give her what we would call a little bit of a attitude adjustment when she's standing in the ring. He got on the end there, and most heifers would stand on the end of the line at that door and raise holy crap with any one of these kids or adults. We all know this. She gets in the end of the line and stands perfectly still, and I'm like, seriously, why couldn't you do this for this poor kid that you're beating up on? He never gave up. The heifer looked good. She's apparently listening to me now. I moved him in line. She started acting up. When she come into line, gets in the line, she stands. Young man, I don't know what you need to do with her to be on the line. Get 3 or 4 people with her, but seriously, you are a great showman. We talked about this in class. That's why I rewarded you, moving you up. The young lady that I moved up right behind my Jersey heifer here, same thing. As I was watching my group down here, she kept making sure her rear legs were set. That heifer always looked as good as she could get it, even when she thought I wasn't watching. And she's done a great job here through the whole time. Sometimes it just drops the head to just a little bit, but we talked about a couple things that's going to get her right up here the next time around if she has the same opportunity. So again, I gave pointers to everybody. I hope they understand them. If they don't, I'm going to be around most of the day here after open show. Please come up and talk to me. I want to help you guys out and make sure that you have a great opportunity the next time you get to come into the ring. But, young lady, go ahead and lead out. These 2 are splitting hairs. The young lady that leads out today just does a nicer job at all times presenting that heifer to make her look her best. This young man is flawless up at the halter, but she's exactly doing what I was hoping she would do to prove a point. He keeps his cool, but he just, a couple times, the heifer gets a little stretched out, doesn't always look her best. The young lady just has the heifer always being presented to look her best, and we talked about this in line. It's splitting hairs there, and as we did it a couple different times, the heifer just was unbeatable today for the young lady. Second over third, always did have the rear legs set up. When I moved around from side to side on the outside of the ring, he moved his heifer's legs to be correct more times than this young man coming out with the cow. Cow and him, step and step. Beautiful team profile. We just talked about, we missed a couple cues on setting up the rear legs. But he uses that overall just style and fluid up at the front, perfect head carriage. Cow walks in rhythm with him over this young lady coming up next. Does another really nice job when the heifer behaved most of the time in the class. Got into line. We talked a little bit about just keeping going in the line, especially up front with her head carriage. As we go down here, young man, I'm going to pick on this young man with the jersey, and he knew it was coming. Does another great job. Just didn't quite get set up as quick and correctly as the 4 in front of him. But he gave me a teaching tool here when we were in line. His cow got out of line. He brought back through line and wanted to turn around, come back in. And I forgot to tell you guys this last night. Whenever you have to turn your animal like that, always push the animal away from you. Never pull her onto you so she steps on your feet and can trip you, especially with the little kids, because boom, down in the dirt, calf's on top of them. So he gave me a great opportunity to remember to tell you guys that, but that didn't change his placing. We were already kind of placed up there. But he just had his cow's legs, did set up more correctly than this young lady coming out next with the Holstein Calf. Exceptional, stylish, correct showman up front. distant, get the rear legs switched when I walked around every time. Otherwise, she would have been moved up, but does a beautiful job with the head carriage, keeping her elbows down and being real straight-lined presentation up front. Just a little nicer in line when we were presenting them as far as over the jersey. And then as we go down the line, I talked with these kids kind of individually. It's just all in some of the details. Unfortunately, heifers that would rather be elsewhere than in a show ring with their handlers. But again, great group of kids all the way down through. Truly enjoyed working with them and wish them the best of luck next time.
There were 16 intermediate showmen. Our first place winner receiving a trophy and also a sweatshirt from Compeer Financial is Marissa Spoke. Please remember in this class the top four, which will be Marissa Spoke, Zach Paulson, Trayton Hildebrandt, and Mara Skalitsky. You four individuals have all qualified to be part of our Masters Showmanship tomorrow night. Again, remember those four individuals will be part of the Masters Showmanship. Placing fifth and receiving a blue is Trent Schlender. Sixth and receiving a blue, Gazelia Avila. Seventh and receiving a blue, Lily Giroux. Eighth and receiving a red, Addie Nass. Ninth and receiving a red, Paige Lester. 10th and receiving a red, Mary Zwald. 11th and receiving a red, Avery Skalitsky. 12th and receiving a red, Nicole Recker. 13th and receiving a red, Ellie Stangler. 14th and receiving a red, Ava Gustorf. 15th and receiving a red, Madison Goodix. And 16th and receiving a red, Claire Bingham. Our class now in the ring are our senior showmen. Immediately following this class, if you place first or second in our previous showmanship class, you will be coming back for Supreme Showman. We are happy to welcome back the 2022 Dodge County Fairs to the fair, Leah Wenninger. She is a past 4-H and FFA member, and we'd like to hear a few words from her.
Thank you. All right, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Dodge County Fair. Like she said, my name is Leah Weniger, and I am currently serving as the 2022 Dodge County Fair to the Fair. A little bit about me. I come from a small dairy farm in Iron Ridge with my parents, Ken and Mary Weniger, where I currently work managing the dairy herd, field work, and anything else that goes along with operating the farm. I also work at Road and Barnyard Adventures, giving farm tours, and working as a farm camp instructor in the summer months. I also serve as the Washington County Ag Ambassador. Today we are here watching the showmanship for the dairy, and I want to give a huge round of applause to these kids because they pour their heart and soul into these projects, and they work hard even way before the fair. So please help me give them a round of applause. So thank you so much for coming out, supporting these 4-H and FFA members. And tonight on the grandstand is Russell Dickerson at 8 o'clock. Hope to see you there. Thank you.
Thank you, Leah.
Seniors, just relax for 2 seconds. All the other showmen, I see a lot of kids still in whites that are standing around watching this group of kids. Look at this ring right now. This has been the best example all day, what we called about spacing. This is a huge class. These seniors have done a great job. I can get around all the animals. They have their private bubble, but there's no big gaps. And I can get from the 5 feet from the gates or the awards table. And I mean, this is picturesque. So I wanted to take this moment because I can't recreate this necessarily when I'm back on the mic. This is an example just to give you guys a quick look, but all the young kids, this is what we were talking about in our class, the spacing. This gives you a chance to work your animals in your area to the best ability, and I want to commend every single senior right now. You're doing an excellent job on that.
As Judge Bagley is completing her placing here in the Senior Showmanship, a reminder, if you place first or second in any of the previous showmanship classes today, you should be waiting outside the Progress Arena to come in for our Supreme Showman. Again, we'd like to thank those that have been helping out in the show for the last couple days. We've had Tony Walter from the Dodge County DHI Testing Association and Brock Irwin from Vital Plus. They've been tremendous help as far as getting the animals lined up and helping a few of the individuals that have needed a little extra help. But I think we all need to pay one individual extreme appreciation for everything that he does for this show, and that's Kyle Bunkuski, your junior superintendent. I think Kyle does a fantastic job, puts his heart and soul, and you can't believe the amount of hours behind the scenes before the fair that he spends, and we can't thank him enough for everything that he does. I believe this is his 13th year as dairy superintendent. If we would have added the COVID year, it'd be 14. He keeps kind of threatening us that he's going to retire, but we can't let him do that yet. So please show your appreciation for Kyle and everything that he does for your junior fair.
All right, give these seniors a big round of applause. Again, as I talked to all these showmen, it was a prelude to some of them earlier classes. I knew this class was going to come in with guns loaded, and they did not disappoint me. And they are all getting blue ribbons. And I told this group down here, please, please, please do not walk out of here thinking you were last, because you're not. All great showmen, and to have this large of a class of senior showmen is tremendous. It shows just the strength of your dairy project in this county. And we've talked about this the last 2 days. It has been an honor to come up here and work with these kids and these animals. Quality of kids, quality animals, top notch. And that is accolades to Dodge County. I would have any one of these kids lead for me. And people that know me really well know I love to strap cows. I love getting them ready, but I love being in the show ring to show them. But any one of these kids, if I see them at State Fair or whatever, I would not be afraid to say, hey, you, come grab my heifer, because that's the trust I would put into them. They do an exceptional job. This group has behaved the best as a whole. Just general comments that way, just top-notch, top to bottom. But they tell me I have to pick a winner. This young man, and I'm going to make a few comments from yesterday and today. I was watching him yesterday. And I will say this too. Yesterday was about the animal, today is about the kid. But yesterday, the kid came in showmanship form, and I appreciate that. Showmanship's an all day long, every time you come in the ring, and they just ticked it up one more notch. We went from an 8 to a 10 all the way down the line. But this young man came in with this heifer today on the money. They float. He's got the head carriage. He knows she can get stretched out every once in a while. He works his hardest to keep them feet underneath her, and gave me less times that she was stretched out than this young lady coming out in second. When we got on that final out curve line, she just got stretched out just a tick more than I'd like to see, and she left her there. She goes over our young lady with this Jersey calf. Jersey calf, couple times didn't get the rear leg switched on the outside of the when we were on the outside, when I walked side to side, and wanted to step out of line a couple times, but this young lady does an exceptional job presenting her, handling her, getting out of line, getting right back in without too much distraction in the class. Just a little bit more fluid, a little quicker, all three a little quicker coming into line when pulled than this young man coming out in fourth. Another young man I want to mention, all day long yesterday. You had some of the bigger heifers yesterday. Our older heifers were a little bit full of spunk and sass and gave our handlers a run for their money. This young man's heifers came in, and I don't know what you do at home with them, or it's just your personality, but you do an excellent job. Your animals are calm, and as this cow goes around the ring, she's chewing her cud, and she's out for a walk with her owner. And it's just fun to watch when animals work together. Sometimes you get lucky and you get a personality that matches. Most often than not, it's the work you put into that animal. Taking nothing away from this young lady with the red cow. She's another excellent showman. Cow beating her up a little bit today, just not wanting to stand quite right. Never quite gave me a great look with her rear legs today. But she handles her cow and coming in and out of line very professionally, doesn't disrupt the class, gets back right where she needs to be as efficiently and effectively as she can. We go down the line. I want to talk about each one of these kids because I think that they need to hear this from me again. As we go down, I got a big black cow for me. Young lady with the Holstein Calf. Sometimes just gets a little relaxed on the halter and loses a little bit of the head carriage. But again, floats with that heifer. The heifer's chewing her cud and is content and happy to be out here. She keeps her heifer together just a bit more in line than our young lady with our Jersey yearling. She's had a tendency just to get a little square out behind her with her feet when waiting for me to come walk past, and didn't always correct that. But out on the move again, just floats along with it, with her. Young man coming out with the red heifer. I'll call her another little sass box that started in the beginning of the class. Gave him a run for his money, but he stuck with it. He was my do not give up competitor in this class. Kept working through her, didn't lose his temper with her, and just handled the situation much to my liking. And as the class went on, she actually liked going counterclockwise around the ring better than clockwise. So that was to his benefit. But he let her settle in, and he kept working with her. But you can tell the time has been put in with that heifer too. Presents her. Sometimes likes to get her just stretched out just a little bit. But I do prefer overall, for the majority, he keeps that head carriage on her and gets the advantage over our big black cow. As I told the young lady, she's got a beautiful cow, but sometimes it's get a little heavy-headed. Now I understand. Yes, knowing this from yesterday, she didn't show any heifers, so she could only bring her cow in. Totally understand that. She does a great job showing what she has brought to the ring. Just for her to win this class, I'd like to see her to have an animal that she can always keep that head carriage up. That's how nitpicky I'm getting with these kids. As we come down the line, the young lady with the Holstein Calf and our Jersey cow here, very close again, just the calf had her rear legs, comes down to that, presented more often than not correctly than our Jersey cow when we walked around them when they were on the outside. Our next cow coming here does a really nice job of setting up for her, sometimes just gets a little close on her rear legs, and I talked to her about that in line, and about, you know, being straight in line and keeping that head up when she doesn't think I'm looking at her. Our Jersey calf coming around almost sets up automatically for this young lady. Again, shows that this calf's been worked with and knows what to do. But we talked about her head carriage. She wants to get a little kink in her neck, and it just takes away from the aesthetics and the lines of her calf. But does a really nice job. We just want to come in a little bit straighter in the line when we pull into line. And our last two, our Holstein Heifer and our our red and white, that she just won't give this poor young man a break today. Both do a great job. The Heifer's just acting up a little bit more for them, doesn't give them the opportunity to really show off their showmanship skills. But when they keep trying, and I want to recognize them on the halter for that. But again, tremendous group of seniors. I appreciate the time that you gave me to work with them. I hope they might not like my decision today, but knowing, because I know some of them probably won other contests, but it's today, it's the moment. But again, I would let any one of you come lead one of my heifers or cows at a show. So that's about, I think, the biggest compliment you can take from a judge, and I hope you know I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Again, give these seniors a big round of applause.
In our senior showmanship just completed, all individuals will be receiving a blue ribbon. Winning the class and receiving a trophy and sweatshirt from Compeer Financial was Ian Spoke. Second in the class was Faith Paulson. Third, Emma Paulson. Fourth, Devin Justman. Fifth, Elizabeth Gunst. Sixth, Cadence Tennis. Seventh, Tristan Bischoff. Eighth, Sawyer Pitterly. Ninth, Tia Hildebrandt. 10th, Carly Nails. 11th, Laura Giroux. 12th, Shelley Hildebrandt. 13th, Lisa Zupke. 14th, Cora Girth. And 15th, Nolan Eltrider. Let's put our hands together and congratulate these individuals one more time. Our class now in the ring will be those in contention for our Supreme Champion Showman. It'll be our first and second places in each of our previous showmanship classes.